What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a Capital Hungry educational webinar on consuming content versus learning, which is a very, very simple topic, but a lot of people in the modern age don't understand. It's currently 11 a.m. Eastern, Monday, August 1st. We just finished our New York scalping session, where even though it was low volume, even though it was low volatility, even though some countries were in holiday, even though we're starting out a new business month, we had over 120 people come in that live Zoom to potentially chase some trades and make a little bit of money. But just 30 minutes after, for an educational webinar that can teach them more and they can learn more, only about 32 people are in this Zoom chat. So before we even dive into this topic of conversation, understand that contrast. There is a very specific reason why 90% of traders lose. 90% of traders have no intention or passion to learn. They have no intention to challenge themselves. They have no intention to bring new knowledge in their brain. They only want to chase money and try to flip accounts and try to be misled by social media. This is a very small example in the Capital Hungry community where just 30 minutes ago, we had 130 people in the Zoom chat ready to take a trade, even though their brains are empty and they have lower IQ than a fucking fish. But now when it comes to learning more, when it comes to developing their skills, when it comes to developing their experience and knowledge, only 30 people show up. Almost 90% of the previous Zoom chat didn't show up here. And almost 90% of traders lose. Hopefully you guys are starting to understand and make these connections. Me, myself, as a singular man running Capital Hungry, I will never change that statistic. 90% of traders will always lose due to human nature and only following greed, short-term impulsive desires, and only knowing how to consume content, not knowing how to learn. So there's a major difference between consuming content and learning. A lot of people in the modern age already have low IQ. They haven't been in school or a school system for years or decades. They haven't had any learning in their life besides maybe some training at a job to do some basic tasks. So how are you training your brain? How is your brain getting any more efficient? How is your brain bringing any new knowledge? At the end of the day, it's not. What is happening is through endless mindless consumption, people's brains retains a little bit of memory or little tidbits of information where they validate that to their lazy, useless, broke ass self that, oh, I'm learning something today. No, you're not. You're a fucking retard, just like the other 90% of retards who don't put any effort, who don't challenge yourself, who don't have any methodology to your learning process. And that's what we're going to be discussing today. Okay? The 34 people who came into the Zoom, understand, I appreciate you. I applaud you. You should pat yourself on the back because even your behavior of coming to this Zoom is standing out above the other 90% of people who are too lazy, who think this is useless, who think that they will not gain any value through this. But this is where all the value comes from, is through the learning process, not through watching some streamers, not through looking at some Instagram posts, not through any of that, right? So Capital Hungry market research, consuming content versus learning content. 35 people in the Zoom right now compared to the 130 previously. You guys so far are the ones who are showing more effort and are showing more dedication to this craft, and I appreciate you. The problem. Let's start off with the problem. Problem is, I have noticed a significant disconnect between new traders and learning about the markets. Keep this in mind as well. I'm not just a trader, and I'm not just someone who has a deeper understanding of the markets. Over the last 2 to 3 years of running the Capital Hungry market research group, I've also gained vast amounts of knowledge on human psychology, human behavior, and human behavioral patterns that continue to repeat, whether it's in trading communities or whether it's in day-to-day life. I am noticing this firsthand because I'm offering a service which allows you to pay for the service and gain more knowledge and information on the markets. But a lot of people pay me and don't learn a single thing. Hey, I don't fucking mind. A lot of people pay for a bunch of shit in their day-to-day life, consuming mindlessly and never actually using the products or services ever. If that's how you want to go about this in this niche and trading industry as you're trying to develop a skill, just know you're going to be a loser. If you're okay with coping to be a loser, hey, continue to live your life, continue to pay me your hard-earned money or the money you're getting handed from mommy and daddy. But what I have noticed through dealing with thousands of traders through the last years, traders from different age groups, different cultural backgrounds, different financial backgrounds, different religions, none of that stuff matters. The human nature, the behavior, the way people attack learning about this skill, that is all the same, that is all universal. If individual aspects of your life, such as your financial background, or such as your cultural background, or your age, had a big difference on your success, then the 90% of the general population wouldn't be losing. The reason why the 90% of the general population is losing is because universal human nature is being targeted that impacts us and that is interconnected to us through our day-to-day lives, whether we like it or not, right? So I've noticed a significant disconnect between new traders and learning about the markets. I think this issue is a societal one where individuals are more conditioned and programmed to consume content mindlessly rather than to be learning and involved in content gaining value. Many people have not had a structured learning process since their school days, where it was about topics that they had no interest in. So the reason why I'm explaining that is you still remember some information from school days, but not really because you had no interest in it. But at that time, when you were in school, that's all you had to focus on. That's all you had to do. I don't care whether you were a good student or a bad student. There was structure and process you had to follow. Material you had to read. You had to read that material and take notes. You had to study those notes and get ready for a test. You had to do a test, project, or examination to validate what you have learned through the work you have put in, right? So in the school process, that structure was given to you. But without that structure, a lot of individuals don't even know where to begin to learn. They confuse consumption, they confuse just watching something as learning something, and it's not the same at all. Individuals think being familiar with topics is the same as understanding them, which is wrong. With the example I was giving in the last webinar, individuals think that they can come into the markets and they think that being familiar with some technical analysis means that they have an entire understanding of the financial markets. That is completely wrong. You are just getting yourself involved in one very small aspect of the markets where you're not even close to being an expert with technical analysis or understanding anything in order flow. You've learned some very basic information with your brain retaining some information through visual stimuli. Oh, I learned about support and resistance. I watched this one video and learned about trend lines. People think that bit of familiar information like support and resistance or trend lines, now they think they have a full understanding on technicals, which is completely false, right? If we were to apply that same type of understanding to any other topic, it's very easy to understand. Let's look at something like math, for example. If I understand basic addition and am familiar with adding and subtracting, that doesn't mean I have a full understanding of mathematics overall, right? Mathematics overall is much more diverse, much more in depth than just basic addition and subtraction. But a lot of people say, yeah, I understand math because they know basic addition and subtraction. Then you ask them about algorithmic math. Then you ask them about quantitative math. You ask them about anything very serious, like in-depth algebra, and they go, well, oh, I don't know about that math. It's like, no, you don't know about math overall. You know about one very specific subset of math to a very minimal degree. Does everybody understand that? Right? I can't come here and come to all of you and say I'm a math expert or I have a math understanding. I can come and tell all of you I have an understanding of addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, but past that, I don't know too much more after that. Right? It takes being very self-critical, very self-aware to differentiate what you know and what you don't know. But in the modern age, where people are just consuming mindless content, everything is based on generalization. They think if they know some addition and subtraction, that they can validate to others, yeah, I know math. No, you don't. It's the same thing with trading. People think they can pick up very little, minimal information through visual stimuli and consumption, and they go, yeah, I know about the markets. I know about technicals, but it's not the same at all. There's a lot of ins and outs, a lot of various subsections, a lot of various topics that are interconnected, where it would take years, decades to learn about the markets, right? So that's what people don't understand. Sorry, 1 second, just getting a call here. Okay, so many people have not had a structured learning process since their school days, where it was about topics that they had no interest in to begin with. Individuals think being familiar with topics is the same as understanding them, which is wrong. Most individuals overestimate how much they are learning based on ego, when in reality, they know less than 1% about the markets. Consuming content is easy, where learning is a difficult process that takes time, effort, and work. A lot more stress and tension being involved that you bring to your brain naturally, which your brain, if you watch the other psychology webinars, your brain doesn't want to deal with any stress and tension. Your brain has a simple job of allowing you to survive to the next day, running your basic bodily functions, and subconsciously, of course, your breathing, your digestive system, your internal organs, and all of that. But besides that, your brain doesn't want to deal with any challenges. It doesn't want to deal with any stress. It doesn't want to deal with any risks being brought to it. But at the end of the day, in this society, in this life, whether it's physical, financial, mental, you cannot grow without productive stress and tension, challenges that you learn from, work that you go through, right? So consumption. Consuming media requires no effort, work, or process besides you visually taking in stimuli and it translating in your brain with very basic organization of the information collected. For example, you may consume some social media memes and your mind retains some of the memes and jokes in your memory, but you didn't learn a thing. So what I'm trying to explain is there's a big difference between learning and understanding concepts and just retaining some memories in your brain about something you visually observed and stimuli that entered your brain, right? There's a big difference between useless memories that your brain is going to naturally consume and actually having valuable information in your brain that was gained through a learning process. Understandable? This can be applied to trading content, where a lot of individuals, you may watch some videos, IG posts, informational images, and so forth, but you are not learning anything. You're only retaining some minor tidbits of information in memory, which you validate as you spending time learning. This is wrong. This is incorrect. This still falls under the line of consumption. Learning goes past the first step of just taking in visual stimuli, right? So it doesn't matter what industry you are in. It doesn't matter what topic what topic you are trying to learn, whether you're trying to be a lawyer, whether you're trying to be a doctor, whether you're trying to be a successful trader. Visual stimuli alone is not enough to learn. Unless you have a gifted 140 high IQ brain with a photographic memory, then maybe you're an exception. Maybe you're a different situation. But for the majority of us who have normal brains, who have normal IQ, who don't have some gifted photographic memory or some gifted high amounts of knowledge or high processing power, which is very, very rare, for us, we need to do more than the step of visual stimulation, and we need to go past the consumption point to actually learn. The issue is, in the modern age, consumption is normalized and promoted because the society we live in doesn't want you to be self-sufficient, doesn't want you to be disciplined, doesn't want you to be having strong willpower and knowledge for yourself. The modern society wants you to be mindless, dumbed down, low IQ, very emotional based, where you make all your decisions based on short-term emotions that is primarily driven by the pleasure model in the brain. You're going to eat based on pleasure. What's going to make you feel good? What's your craving? You're going to consume content based on pleasure. Let's go watch this Netflix show. Let's go play some video games. You're going to perform events based on pleasure. You're not going to work out. You're going to lay around in your fat ass. You're going to jerk off for the third time in the day. Everything is emotion based. Everything is impulse based. Everything is pleasure based. Of course, the modern society wants you to do that because in that state of being, you're the best customer possible. You don't make any you don't make any critically thinking based decisions. You don't follow logic. You don't go past visual stimuli and asking questions. You just have some content, you consume it, it makes you feel some type of way through the visual stimuli, and then you take some action, which is pleasure based. You're the perfect customer. You're going to continue to fuel all the fast food companies, all of the huge big tech companies on social media, all of these different platforms like Netflix and Pornhub. You're the best customer they can ever ask for. But that same type of behavior of just being a consumer, of just going to the part of only taking in visual stimuli is going to make you terrible as a human being. You're going to have terrible relationships with your friends and family because everything's surface level and you don't know how to control your emotions or have any emotional intelligence or how to have any conversations with your friends and family. You're not going to know how to develop yourself physically. You're never going to develop yourself financially. You're going to be mentally unwell, entering a state of depression, only chasing consumption, right? 90% of traders are learning, 90% of traders are consuming this way, thinking they are learning. Do you understand the major disconnect I'm trying to explain now? How it may be very easy to say, oh, well, yeah, I understand the difference between consuming and learning. But when you're actually bringing it to the modern society, when you're actually bringing it to the actions and behaviors we are seeing taking place by the day-to-day person, they're not learning anything. They're only consuming, living in a constant daze, like almost like a zombie, going through the same routine of they wake up, they scroll through TikTok and IG. Yeah, as you scroll through TikTok and IG, because your feed is curated to your personality and your interests, yeah, you might see some trading posts. You may see someone post a trading video of a trade they took, but you're not learning from it. You're only consuming it, taking in little tidbits of information, right? So remember, consuming is just step one, which is just taking in visual stimuli, your brain processing that stimuli and having emotional responses afterwards. Why do you think mass marketing to consumers works so well? Why do you think females are buying new clothes every single week? Why are people still eating fast food even though they know it's terrible for them? Why are people still abusing drugs, alcohol, tobacco, nicotine, and so forth, even though they know it's killing them? It's because the decisions to chase after that consumption is all emotional based, all short term, all leading to an addictive personality, right? If what was normalized in society was productive thoughts, physical well-being, eating healthy and clean, this would create too many strong individuals where the government wouldn't have as much power as they do. The corporations wouldn't have as much power as they do, right? The people who run our society don't want that. They want you to be a consumer. They want you to be a loser. They want you to be a retard. They want you to be depressed. So you go pop some more pills. They want you to be fat, so you go eat some more junk food. They want you to be lazy, so you keep watching Netflix. This fills their pockets, right? It's never going to be normalized. It's never going to be the morals of the masses or promoted in society to be on the flip side and be productive, healthy, strong willpower, strong discipline. It's never going to be that way. So all I'm trying to explain is, even though you may think in your brain you are learning, if you're just doing what I'm explaining here, you have been manipulated and fooled to just be a consumer and continuing to take in stimuli. Do you understand? Right? Consumption problems. Now, if you only continue to consume, if you only continue to take in mindless content through visual stimuli, you're going to face a series of problems that will impact your mentality, where I've already talked about this in the other educational webinars, and it's already proven through research. Lower attention span, less focus, easily distracted. 1 second here. So easily distracted, just like I got right now, chasing artificial dopamine hits, poor stress and challenge management, decrease in IQ, increase in emotional responses, less logic used and more focus on feelings, manipulated by the mindless content, increase of mental health illnesses, right? So when you're looking at these various events and you're understanding this from an objective perspective, where would any of these events benefit you in your life? Where would having lower attention span benefit you in your life? Where would being less focused benefit you in your life? Where would being easily distracted benefit you in your life? For you as a human being who wants to live a fulfilling life, who wants to develop various skill sets, who wants to have more financial freedom, none of these events will benefit you. All of these events would make you a better consumer, but none of them are going to make you a better, more significant or more successful human being, right? So consumption problems, lower attention span, less focus, easily distracted, chasing artificial dopamine hits, poor stress and challenge management, decrease in IQ, increase in emotional responses, more dependency on your feelings, easily manipulated. Now, I was talking about how it won't benefit you in your day-to-day life. Imagine the impact on trading, right? Imagine being more hyper emotional, less logic, less focus, easily distracted, low attention span on trading. Think about that. In trading, it's 10 times worse. I've explained this concept before as well, where all of your emotions in your day-to-day life, whether you get angry sitting in traffic for a while, or you get frustrated being in a line waiting for your coffee, all of those emotions that you deal with will only be amplified further in your trading journey and trading career, okay? 1 second here, just gotta pause. So none of these various events at all will ever help you, especially in your, never mind your day-to-day life. It'll be destructive in your day-to-day life. But in trading, where your emotions, where your decisions get amplified by 10, imagine having these types of events taking place day in and day out, because you don't know anything except for mindlessly consuming, right? Now, learning. Learning requires methodology and structure to the process. You cannot learn without active work of engaging your mind into retaining the information processed through various avenues. Reading or verbalizing the information is just step one. Writing and taking notes, repetition, collaboration, application of information through analysis for the trading example, and the list goes on and on. Learning requires work and is more than just visual stimuli retention. Learning is far more stressful and challenging compared to mindless consumption, as you bring new events to your brain that it must go through, new stress, new challenges, new tension. Just like how can I explain this? It's a very easy to understand example that if you go to the gym and don't work out, you're not going to get any muscle. You have to go to the gym and work out as well too. Everybody in the chat can understand that, right? Right? You can't just walk into a gym and then say, oh, I'm walked into the gym. I can stare at all these machines. I can sit on this machine. Hopefully I'll get some muscle. You would think that's 100% retarded. You would think that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But that same type of concept is applied with people in consumption. People think they can just come to a webinar. People think they can just show up and mindlessly sit there and start to visually consume the webinar, whether it's Raja's live stream, whether it's my live stream. And they think that they're sitting there and visually taking in that stimuli and learning something. No, you're not learning anything because you're not putting any work in to actively learn, right? It's the same example of all these new members who join Capital Hungry, and they just come, they ignore the manual, they ignore all the webinars, even though they know it exists, they know it's difficult to go through that, it's very intense. They ignore all that because it's hard, it's challenging, it's stressful. Instead, they come into the live trading session, which is the exact same equivalent of some person wanting to work out and get in shape and going to the gym and sitting in a chair in the gym. Sitting in a chair in the gym and watching other people work out, watching the machines, looking at the equipment. You're not fucking doing shit. You're not doing anything, right? And then imagine those same people sitting in the gym, not working out, going up to people who are working out, saying, oh, wow, how do you do this? How do you do that? The guy would be like, yo, leave me the fuck alone. You're sitting in a chair or the couch over there. Don't bother me. I'm actively working. That's why I get so angry with these new members. I'm here in the gym, putting in work, doing my reps, while you're coming here staring at me, then coming to bother me with questions, not doing any work at all, not putting any effort, not having any direction, structure, or anything at all. Right? It's the same thing with trading. It's the same thing with learning about the markets. It's the same with all of that. You cannot learn without the work, as you bring new events to your brain that it must go through. You cannot learn, you cannot learn without the work. And most people in the modern society do not know what work is. They only know how to consume content and pick up little points that they think is knowledge. That is just your brain holding useless info without connection or wisdom in your brain. Scrolling traders on Instagram, watching live streams, looking at trading posts, and so forth, none of this is actual learning. It is only consumption. If 90% of traders lose and you cannot even start your learning process because you are nothing but an emotionally driven consumer, then it does not take rocket science to know you are a failure. Maybe you don't want to admit you're a failure. Maybe you have trouble coping with being a failure, but most of society is failing. Whether you want to come to that realization or not. So it's very easy in the society to be a failure. It's very easy in the society to be a consumer. It's very easy in the society to be emotionally driven with your life decisions. All of that is very easy to do, but it's just going to end up destroying your life, having you miserable, depressed, broke, useless to anybody around you and to yourself. Right? So learning requires methodology and structure to the process. What do you think the point of the manuals for? What do you think the point of the educational webinars for? Why do you think I ask you to take notes and share those notes? Why do you think I ask you to watch the webinars twice? Why do you think I ask you to collaborate your notes with other members? Start doing analysis after you understand the concepts. Because that is the learning process. That is the structure. That is the content. That is the work. That is the repetition. That is the taking notes. That is the application of information, which that in entirety is the learning process. Without that, you're a retard. That's not making fun of you. Your brain doesn't have any knowledge unless you put it in there. And then once you put it in there, you have to connect the dots in your brain. Then you have to bring to see what works for you and what doesn't. Right? There's a process to this. Benefits of learning. New skills and knowledge develop through the work of the learning process. When you go through the learning process, you gain more emotional intelligence, you gain more self-awareness of how your brain works and what are the best learning methods for you. You're gaining new skills of the industry that you are learning in, with the example of trading here. The process of learning is what's going to bring new information and skills that's actually going to be retained in your brain and useful. Connecting dots in your head of previous concepts, understanding what works and what does not work, a deeper understanding of financial markets, more experience and confidence when trading the financial markets, always being a student to the game and knowing there's more to learn. When you actually focus on learning, you can take the time to read for an hour, review what you read, take some notes on it. This increases your patience. This increases your focus. This increases your IQ. Right? Now, wouldn't all of these events of going through the learning process, of having increased patience, increased focus, higher IQ, a deeper understanding of the industry you are in, more experience and confidence, understanding for you what works and what doesn't work, having the new skills and knowledge developed, isn't that all beneficial to your life? Yes, it may be difficult. Yes, it may take time. Yes, it may take effort, but isn't it all beneficial in your life? Isn't it all beneficial in your trading journey? Aren't these the various events that the 90% of losers lack? The 90% of losers have low IQ, right? They have low focus, low attention span and patience. They're not trying to learn more. They have low confidence and experience. They don't have a deep understanding. They don't know what works for them and what doesn't. They jump from strategy to strategy. They jump from mentor to mentor, from live stream to live stream. So it's not a mystery why they lose. It's very well known, very well understood, right? And last but not least, stop being a fucking retard. The definition of a retard, the actual textbook definition of a retard, is limiting or stopping your own growth. Do you understand? So if you are doing anything in your life to limit your growth or stop your growth or slow down your growth, that's what a retard is. That's what's retarded. You're stopping yourself. You're putting limits on yourself. You are a mindless zombie spending majority of your time consuming content. No focus, low attention span, no structure to your learning, no effort, and fooling yourself that you work harder than the 99% when you are actually a failure. You cannot even read a manual. You can't even watch educational webinars. you can't take notes, you don't do any analysis, and you think you're going to be a great trader, wake up and realize you are a failure like the 90% of confirmed market losers. You can either now make a decision to quit now, or if you don't quit, make a change. Because if you don't quit and you don't make a change, all you're going to be doing is a part of the 90% who gamble, continue to deposit, lose, sometimes flip an account, give all the money back. This is the cold, hard truth. Whether you watch my live streams, whether you watch Raja's live streams, Wicks Don't Lie, whether you watch somebody else's signals or live streams, you might follow a singular stream or a couple of streams and make some money following our knowledge, our experience, our skill set. But 9 times out of 10, you're going to give that money back because you don't have any longevity yourself. You don't have the experience, the skill set, the information, the knowledge to keep that money. Because as soon as the live stream is done, as soon as I'm not there or the other mentor's not there to guide and hold your hand through what's going on, you're going to do some retard shit by yourself and give it all right back, and even worse. This is why I want the community in Capital Hungry to be stronger, smarter, faster, more productive, more efficient. I could easily keep information to myself and bear hug it and just give trade ideas, just give signals, just give information and analysis from a very basic standpoint that people can follow and make money. And I can continue getting more signups, more people depending on me, more people having their success tied to the information I give, right? I can make a shit ton more money from subscriptions by catering to new traders, by selling signals, but I don't want that. I want a long-term network of reliable and dependable human beings who I can interact with in the future for deeper, larger projects, for bigger investments, for bigger ideas, for expansions of Capital Hungry. I want the people in Capital Hungry to not just be a part of that opportunity, but to also have confidence in themselves. There's a lot of people in Capital Hungry who understand the CH concepts, who are consistent traders, who are disciplined. They still pay for Capital Hungry because they enjoy the community. They enjoy the influence being shared in this community, the productivity, the efficiency, the focus on fundamentals, technicals, and psychology. They enjoy being a part of that, and they still continue to pay, even though they're doing great trading on their own, going through the learning process for months and years now, right? So anyways, everybody, quick little webinar there, got a little bit longer with some of the distractions, but it is what it is. Just wanted to give that psychology webinar on the very distinct difference between consuming content and actually learning. I'm going to save and upload this. It'll be available on Vimeo.